there are these primordial forces that drive us. And we can have debates about the nuance on those, but some of them are really not very debatable. Men are very, very driven by honor. It's how we judge boys on the playground. I remember from when I was a boy. It's how we judge one another in the military. It's how we judge one another in business. It's how we judge one another in a social circle. We judge one another by honor. And when we see somebody who doesn't have honor, they get like the concentric rings inside of a tree. You put them a further ring away from your core. And if you don't, something's broken with you. It's not being judgy. It's called reading the room. And because of that, you won't find the History Channel and the World War II in Color series and documentaries and the Pacific and Band of Brothers. Those are not highly watched by women. You could draw whatever conclusion you like from that, but these are particularly male things. And we're driven by acts of honor, acts of heroism, and bravery. And these are all things that men want to live up to. I mean, you ask any skinny jean wearing hipster why he's wearing a lumberjack shirt and lumberjack boots, and the biggest crisis of his week is if he got oat milk in his latte. These are trying to signal masculinity. Why are all these hipsters wearing perfectly coiffed beards? They're trying to signal masculinity. There's two ways to get masculinity, right? One is to earn it, like you got it, no trying required. And the other way is you have to signal masculinity, because without the signals, nobody would have any friggin' clue. And if you look around, you know, I've got a certain amount of privilege because of my efforts and personal success. I have surrounded myself, if you look around this room, with history and talismans from the past. You'll see in this room, you'll see something from Abraham Lincoln's re-election campaign, which didn't take place. You'll see something from an air show I flew for Mike Dillon, a private air show. You'll see an original Earl Norham that was an inspiration for the Karate Kid. You'll see a dog's head buckle from the Indian Wars. You'll see a herringbone tunic from Peleliu. You'll see blood chits. You'll see one of my friends who's deceased now, his father's rig from Vietnam. One of my relatives who killed some ISIS bad guys and sent me the flag right away with one of the SEAL teams. Everything in my whole life is kind of a yearning for past and a yearning for future, and trying to find that balance in between. If you look around my office, I just basically walked through to grab a few things to sit on the counter here. There's 100 more pieces. Boat oars from SEAL teams, and flags from friends who had just killed bad guys while they had that flag on them and sent the flag to me, and one thing after the other. And these talismans connect us to heroes and respect and honor. And I've spent a lifetime collecting these things, but not everybody wants a bunch of old stuff. Not everybody wants a World War I helmet. Not everyone wants a World War II pith helmet sitting around all kind of skanky and dirty looking. Not everybody wants 20 millimeter ammo. Not everybody wants a pineapple grenade sitting around, or a HE grenade. Not everybody wants a dagger from World War I, you know, rusty old thing. And some people are just into knives. Not all of this. But there's something about this they like. You know, not everybody has like a museum living around them. And not everybody wants that. I get it. But a lot of people like to look at it. So I came up with an idea with our knuckle knife. I thought it was a great way to kind of straddle both worlds. For those of you who like knives and those of you who collect knives, the nice thing about knives is you can have a big collection of them. They can be in like a suitcase, a Pelican case. You know, it's like if you want to be like an airplane collector, you need a lot of space. If you want to be a watch collector, you can do it all in a box. So I get it. You know, everybody's got their wives, and the wives don't want a bunch of military hanging up everywhere, making their place look like a bunker or a museum. They want pretty things up to make their home warm and inviting, not necessarily pictures of 20 men who died at Iwo Jima. So, for everybody else who's walked that balance beam maybe better than I did, and isn't quite as extreme as I am, maybe they're just more reasonable and moderate than I am. For those of you who collect knives, we put together this project, and I just call it the Battlefield Pickup. I want you to imagine walking across Flanders Field or the Argonne, Battle of the Somme, Peleliu, and you pick something up off the battlefield. You pick up a relic. Most of this stuff comes from guys who came home. But those battlefields, I've walked many of those battlefields, and after a good rain, stuff pops up. Maybe a tooth, a hunk of bone, bullets. I went to school in Gettysburg at Gettysburg College, and I remember after a hard rain, I used to run, you know, back when I wasn't a middle-aged guy. And I remember running, and every now and then I'd spot I got a couple of, bullets that I found that were lead and they've oxidized white. And you could find them after a rain. And if you go in the collector shops around there, they're full of battlefield pickup stuff. And that stuff to me was like time travel. But not everybody wants all that old stuff around. Not everybody wants a piece of oxidized lead sitting on a thing. Not everybody has cannonballs all lined up like I do along a windowsill. I mean, I feel I have a lot of empathy for any woman, a lot of sympathy for any woman who hooks up with me, because that woman's got to deal with a lot. Robin's got to deal with a lot. The battlefield pickup, our knuckle knife, our trench knife, you guys have seen. I basically did I did a run of these, and I want to do them in small drops of really unique concepts of each. And this is going to be a really unique one. Every one of these knives is going to be uniquely different. I can't remember if there's 20 or 25, doesn't matter. It's a very small number. They've got brass handles, they're distressed, and they're patinaed. You'll see some video of me working the patina, and it's not set it and forget it. Every day I have to tend them and grow them like a bonsai tree to arrive at a finish that I want for this Battlefield Drop series. I think you guys will really love them. It's a way to have something new that harkens back to something old, that has that contextual sentiment to it. And it's the kind of thing that, it's not a rusty old thing. It'll fit right in your knife collection, but it points to something. I used to watch this art program on PBS, and the art program was this nun. She was in full habit, Catholic nun, black and white, and very bright, with a British accent and a huge overbite. And she talked about art. And I used to see her walking through museums in Europe that I've been to many times, talking in great depth about the art. And a really, really fun show to watch for fucking nerds. And I remember she said this one phrase, and I'll never forget it. She says, great art points to that which we cannot express with our limited capacities as humans. And I believe she was at the time talking about some Rococo paintings that had religious subject matter, and they were talking about the divine. They were not talking about divine. They were illustrating. They were pointing to the divine. I thought it was one of the great comments I've ever heard talking about high level anything. You know, an amazingly restored vintage car, a Porsche from the 1970s that's been done like Singer, that points to something. It points to something almost intangible. And the Relic knife is supposed to do that. It's to point you to something, to remember something. It's not trying to be anything else. It's nudging your sentiment, your heart, and your memory in a direction. I hope you love it.